In the spotlight tonight, November 2nd was supposed to be an historic day for Republicans until they nominated Tea Party candidates who dabble in witchcraft, oppose the minimum wage, and refuse to accept the separation of church and state. Can the Tea Party save the Democratic Party? Joining me now, New Jersey Senator and Chair of the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, Robert Menendez. Thank you for joining us tonight, Senator.
Good to be with you, Lawrence.
Senator, Sharon Engel's recent attack ad has gotten a lot of negative reaction, including on The View today. Let's listen to the ad and Joy Behar's reaction to it.
Waves of illegal aliens streaming across our border, joining violent gangs, forcing families to live in fear. And what's Harry Reid doing about it? Voting to give illegal aliens Social Security benefits, tax breaks, and college tuition.
I'd like to see her do this ad in the South Bronx. Come here, bitch. Come to New York and do it.
We're praying for you.
Even Joy is praying for you. I'm praying for her.
I'm praying for everybody. No,
She's going to hell.
I'm praying that her heart gets
going to hell, this
I'm
bitch.
praying that Sharon Engel's heart gets She's not going to hell.
Senator Menendez, first of all, your reaction to the ad. Do you think that ad is racist, as many have accused it of being?
I do. I think it's despicable. I think it tries to portray all Latinos in this country in a negative light, in a state that has such a large, vibrant, and productive Latino population. And it goes hand in hand with what Sharon Engel is doing in trying to suppress that vote in Nevada, in the tactics that are reminiscent of the Republican Party in the past, taking pictures of minority voters going to vote an early vote, passing out literature, trying to intimidate them. And this ad is along the line. It is a despicable ad, and I hope and I believe it will backfire her in this last week of the election.
Now, Senator, it seemed that Harry Reid had gotten lucky when Sharon Engel won that nomination. He was way ahead of her in the polls for a while. She seems to have closed that gap and is now running very closely. She could easily win that state next week. But with Christine O'Donnell in Delaware running way behind, hasn't the Tea Party and the Tea Party candidates as nominated by Republicans actually helped you in your quest to hold on to the Senate?
Well, look, Lawrence, the bottom line is that these candidates, it's not because they're Tea Party candidates, it's simply because they hold extreme views. 6 of these candidates want to privatize Social Security. 10 of the Republican candidates want to eliminate the Department of Education. 4 of them actually want to either eliminate or lower the minimum wage. In the case of Sharon Engel, for example, she believes the Department of Education should be eliminated. She believes in a state that has so many retirees that Social Security should be privatized. She wants to bring radioactive waste to Yucca Mountain in Nevada. These are all positions outside of the mainstream of Nevadans and their views, and that's emblematic of so many of these candidates across the country. So as we make this an election of choice, of whether or not we give the mantle of leadership to those who brought us on the brink of a new depression in this country, or whether we continue the progress of creating economic opportunity and moving forward on jobs, is the critical issue in these elections. And that's why I believe that on Election Day we will do well.
Senator, the conventional wisdom, as you know, is that the energy is on the Republican side, the motivation is on the Republican side. That motivation has turned to outrage on the part of many Tea Party supporters, and now we have seen, as in this program tonight earlier, violence on the part of some Tea Party supporters. What can you do on the Democratic side to counter that outrage coming at Democratic candidates?
Well, I think that as our candidates make the case and create the contrast between those who would take us back to the Bush-failed economic policies which they espouse rather liberally as Republican candidates, or whether we move forward, that is creating the crystal view for voters in these elections as they make their final decisions. And in terms of this constant referral to the enthusiasm gap, look at early voting in Washington, in California, in Nevada. Look at early voting in in West Virginia and several other states. And the fact is that Democrats have far exceeded Republican voters in early voting. And those are all good signs of a base that understands what this election has come down to, a referendum of whether we move back to the failed Bush economic policies that drove this country into the brink of economic disaster, or whether we move forward and continue the progress we're making. And there's much more work to be done. But clearly, there is a vivid contrast in these elections.
Senator, were you surprised in the Senate debate tonight in Florida that Tea Party Republican candidate Marco Rubio actually distanced himself from what he labeled the Republican platform?
Yeah, I found it amazing that Marco Rubio takes the position that suddenly he's not with the Republican platform, he's not with the Tea Party platform, which helps skyrocket him into the Republican nomination. It's pretty amazing to me that he thinks that he can get away with that. I think that at the end of the day, if voters look at that in the final week, they've got to really question whether or not who Marco Rubio is and what does he really stand for.
Senator Robert Menendez, chair of the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, in the toughest year that job has faced in a while. Thank you for joining us tonight, Senator.
Thank you, Lawrence.